Hi there, this is Allison with Let's Go Travel Tips. Today is Friday, July 15th of 2022, and we have got lots to talk about. I always tell you the date so that you can kind of know if you're watching something that is very current right now. I have lots of other information that I have given in the last few months that is very useful and very apropos for now, and so I would suggest you watch those if you're brand new around here. But I wanted to let you know that we have got so much to talk about today. We've got random COVID testing returning again. We've got updates on what's going on with flights and luggage, everything with this. So many updates from my sister who just got back from the Island Princess, as well as Crown Princess updates, Discovery Princess updates, and poor Norwegian. So let's go ahead and start with the random testing returning to Canada again for air passengers. So if you're new here, what has a while ago, I want to say maybe it was it in March? I apologize, I can't remember for sure, but for a while Canada had the rule that if you were going to fly in, you had to show proof of a negative COVID test. And then they changed that requirement to be that if you were fully vaccinated, you didn't have to do a test to fly in, but they would still do random testing on people flying into Canada as well as passengers coming at border crossings. So then that testing went away. I would say maybe at the beginning of June, the random testing, sometime in May, that random testing went away. Well, based on what is going on with COVID, on yesterday, July 14th, Canada just announced that they, starting again on July 19th, are going to start doing that random COVID testing again. And so I want to thank our Let's Go family member, DJ, for sending me the heads up about that. So in my research, I found the details for you. So like I said, that random COVID testing is going to return again for airline people who are flying into Canada. And it is going to start at the 4 main airports in Canada: Vancouver, Calgary, Montreal, and Toronto. And they do remind everybody that to qualify as fully vaccinated, you have to have received your primary series of vaccines that are accepted by the government there in Canada. In researching that, it looks like they pretty much accept most vaccines. So I think you're going to be okay with that. Another interesting change that they are making is they used to do all of that testing right there in the airport for anyone that they would require to be randomly tested, but they are moving that off-site. It's going to be at areas outside of the airport. So what is going to happen is as you fly into Canada, everybody still has to do that ArriveCan app, and it says that within 15 minutes of processing your customs, your entry into Canada, you will receive a notification if you have been selected to be randomly tested. Once you do that, you are going to have to the email will contain information to help them arrange the test with a testing provider in their region. Unvaccinated travelers who are required to do a test once they come in can complete their test by a virtual appointment or an in-person appointment with a test provider at the store or select pharmacies and still respect their quarantine requirements. So this, what I'm telling you, is for vaccinated travelers only. There are more requirements for people who are unvaccinated. And so let's see here. There's the other part that I wanted to tell you. So if you do test positive, you have to go into isolation and follow the federal requirement to isolate for 10 days from the date of your test result. If your 10-day isolation test is required, even if the isolation requirement is shorter in your province or territory. So for example, if you are returning to Canada and you live in a province or territory that the isolation requirement is shorter than 10 days, they don't care. You still have to do 10 days. Now this the research that I did, I have not found what the requirements are if you're returning from Canada, if you can drive home and do your isolation there. I could not find that. So if any of you know that and have come across that, put it in the comments below for all of our Let's Go family members who live in Canada. Now, to me, this is going to be more stressful for travelers. I was really happy when they removed that requirement, and then I just went to Vancouver to go on that cruise. I was really happy that I didn't have the additional stress of worrying about if I was going to be randomly selected and testing positive there. So that is, I know that's a worry for a lot of people. So I hope that our Let's Go family members do okay with any random testing that you get selected for. Now I'm just going to go over a couple of updates from some cruise ships. So Christy, our Let's Go family member, thank you. She is on the Discovery Princess this very week. And it was last week, the 3rd through the 10th. And she said that they had a fabulous time. And she knows, it sounds like she knows people who were on the past week, and it was really full that week as well. So it sounds like those of you who are sailing on the Discovery are going to have a quite full ship, but she commented that everybody is constantly cleaning, there's lots of hand sanitizer, and that they had a fabulous time, and so wonderful that they're already planning when they're going to go back again. So I thought that was really happy. Another update that I just wanted to remind you all, I've told you this lots of times, and I know I just went overboard on the trip that I just went on, but take extra COVID tests with you. Our Let's Go family member Christy, same one that told us about the Discovery, said that when they opened her husband's test kit to do the that video call with tests that you can order from Optum or from eMed, her husband's test, like in the process of doing it, you fold it over and then there's adhesive that holds it together. Her husband's didn't have the adhesive, so they wouldn't accept that test. So they had to go through a whole lot to be able to get another test for him and the results and everything. So definitely take a couple of extra tests with you. I took a lot with us that when we went to Europe, and then I took several with me just in case for some reason I needed them when I just went to Alaska. So do just take extra with you. I think it's better to take them and bring them home with you than be in a pickle and wish that you had it. So keep that in mind. Now we've got an update from someone who was on the Crown Princess this very week. So thank you, Vicki. She said that they just finished going to Glacier Bay, and they're also going to Icy Strait Point. Makes me so happy that ship is hitting all of our ports. She said it has been really nice. They've had a balcony and enjoyed it. The ship is quite full, but she said it's not so full that you can't enjoy lounging in different areas on the ship, taking in the scenery that way and just enjoying being there. She said, there's 1,949 passengers, and the capacity, she said, is 2,900 for that ship. So that leaves quite a bit of extra open space. And so I am so happy that we are getting good reports from what's going on in the Crown Princess. I think it bodes very well for the rest of the Alaska season and moving into the fall. Finally, I also so this is the whole thing. So I mentioned to you that my sister went on the Island Princess, that cruise we were going to go on, and didn't, and my sweet daughter has not had her baby yet. But anyway, so she just barely got back on Wednesday evening, and so yesterday I had the chance to talk with her, and she told me several things that I think are really handy for you to know if you are going to be going to Europe right now, especially if you're going through Heathrow, if you're going anywhere on this cruise. So let me just tell you some of the highlights and the things that I think are most helpful right now. So first of all, she was on the Island Princess and she was in a suite. I don't know. I don't know if morale is suffering among this cruise. She said that the people who were in like the dining and all the other areas of the ship were so happy to help, to serve you, to, just cheerful and happy. But she said their room steward, mind you, they're in a suite, never introduced himself to them. Like trying to see him was like he was non-existent. When they got there, it was clear as they went to their cabin, the shower had not been cleaned. There was still a partially used bar of Irish Spring soap in the shower. Really clear. She had to call customer service when they needed more toilet paper. It was just, or I should say housekeeping. And one time though, nobody in housekeeping answered, so she had to call customer service. It was just, so I don't know if, I don't know why, but so that part wasn't as good, but they had a fabulous time. Now they were in an aft suite, and she said to remind everyone the whole time, if you are in an aft suite, at least on the Island Princess, she said every morning their whole balcony, the furniture, everything was covered with the ash. And so she suggests like bring in the cushions off of your patio, of your balcony furniture at night, so that in the morning you can go out and sit down and not have ash on your clothing. So So I don't know if that is the same on all the ships, but that is surely what happened on their ship. So that's just a heads up about that. Now, they sailed out of Southampton and departed and returned to Copenhagen and flew home from there. So a few highlights about Heathrow and some counsel. So first of all, Heathrow. They flew in, their flight was not canceled, everything went just fine with that. It took them a couple of hours to get their luggage of just waiting around, and she said you go down to baggage claim in Heathrow and there is so much luggage. She says it is stacked to the ceiling, it's against the wall, several bags deep, just to the ceiling, bags stacked everywhere. And so many people don't have their luggage, and I honestly don't know how they're going to get it, because she says so much luggage everywhere. So they got their luggage. And so what I would recommend, and she said to me, tell people to just take a carry-on. She said they felt really blessed that they were able to get their luggage. I am hearing from some other people that they are not so fortunate. They're just not getting their luggage. We, and this will lead me, we have a Let's Go family member, and they, Chris and Steve, they were so kind to send an update, and they know some people that flew in. They flew in and they got their luggage no problem, but there were some fellow passengers who flew from here in the US to Toronto and then over to Heathrow, and they didn't get their luggage until they still haven't seen it yet. And they would have embarked. So this is Friday. She sent me this Thursday and or last night. And so they have not received their luggage, and they're a couple of days into the cruise yet. And if it is sitting in Toronto somewhere where they say they have a shortage of workers, or in Heathrow, she said they're just shopping in the ports when they go to be able to get some clothing to wear. So anyway, Heathrow is awful. They are canceling an awful lot of flights going into Heathrow right now. My sister did say that they were talking to some people there in the process of disembarking and getting on the plane to come home. And apparently there are like 300 passengers who were supposed to embark on the Island Princess that day who did not because their flights were canceled. That is huge. And so here's a few things. And mind you, so these people that, so the turnaround day for the Island Princess that time was in Copenhagen. That is that many flights canceled going into Copenhagen. We are hearing of so many flights being canceled going into Heathrow. So be creative when you look at airports to go to. Try to look and see if you can go into an airport that is not quite such a big airport. And I know that's really hard because it is hard to get flights. A lot of us already have had our flights booked for a long time. But if you are looking at booking something last minute, take a look at some other airports and see if you can go into somewhere that is not quite as busy. I know that a Let's Go family member just told me today, we know of all the trouble at Heathrow at Gatwick Airport. Apparently there is a water shortage, and so you have very, very few toilets that are working for thousands of people who are coming through that airport. So that doesn't sound like that is going as smoothly as people had hoped either. So keep all of that in mind. So that's what I wanted to tell you about that. Now let me tell you also, if you're going to fly out of Copenhagen, she had some really helpful information about that. So first of all, they had gotten to the airport 4 hours early, like we all do before an international flight home. There was nobody there to check anyone in. They had a couple of people show up to check people in at about 2 hours until it was time for the flight to go. So needless to say, the line was huge. Then you have to go through security. Then you have to go through passport control again. And it was just the same when we were in leaving from Barcelona. Well, the line to go through passport control was so long, and it's the kind that just scans your passport. Well, if you are booked on a Delta flight, Delta will not accept the scan. You have to go through the line that has someone, a real person standing there and looking at your passport with your boarding pass. And so stay to the right. Get in the line that is on the right-hand side, and it has a real person there, because what happens is if you go through the other line, you try to scan it, then it kicks you out, and then they tell you to go get in the other line. So just get in the line, the far right-hand side lane. I hope that helps some of you you that will be flying out of Copenhagen. And that's really helpful to know, even if you're not on a cruise. If you're just going to Europe and you're flying home out of Copenhagen and you're flying on Delta, stay in that lane far to the right. She said that that flight ended up leaving late because they were trying to wait for people to be able to get through the passport control and everything because of the long lines at check-in and at passport control. And the final thing that I want to tell you about traveling there is they went through JFK on their way home, and she said they learned that if you are arriving in JFK, they always have long customs lines. I have never been there when they're short. She said they stood in their customs line for about an hour to enter the U.S. She said that there is another line that is marked for crew and something else. She said if your flight is late and you are worried about how long the line is and being able to make your connecting flight, go in that crew line. And I can't remember, it says something else with it, but go in that line and tell them that if you don't go through there, you're going to miss your flight, and they were letting people go. They didn't need to do it because they thought they were okay and they made their flight all right. And so the other thing is there is a lot of construction going on at JFK. The part right where we were when we flew to Rome, that didn't have any, fortunately, the part that we had to go to, but they ended up having to take like an air train and walk across the tarmac and do all of these things. So just be aware that you need to allow plenty of time there in JFK. So that's everything I've got about that. Now, she told me a few things that I thought were really helpful. That cruise was clearly up in the Baltic, and the places that I was most interested that she went to that I hadn't been to yet were Lithuania and Latvia. And so just a couple of things to keep in mind if you're going there, or if you want to think about going there. She said both places were absolutely beautiful. She said that in Lithuania, she said it is very, very poor there. She said there is not, like, when you usually get off the ship, sometimes Princess will run a shuttle or the town will run a shuttle. She said it was quite a long walk into the town from where the port was, but you just had to walk because when they were there were no taxis. The Princess was not running a shuttle. No one was running a shuttle. So you just walked in. She said that they went ahead and ate there, of course, and that it was really beautiful to see the little town there, and that some of the people who live there, artisans and everything, had set up their little booths. She said everything is much cheaper there, and so if you are going to do a lot of shopping, she bought a beautiful piece of art, she said, that was like framed and just so beautiful, and she said it was what in Stockholm someone would ask you $1,000 for. So I haven't gotten to see it yet. I'll tell you about it. But anyway, so keep in mind that's a really good place to shop because the prices are affordable, and I think that actually shopping there really helps those people. She said Latvia was absolutely beautiful as well, but that one didn't seem quite as poor, and you could walk into town there about maybe a half-mile walk into town, and that there was more to see in the small town that's right by the port there in Latvia than there was in Lithuania, but she thoroughly enjoyed going to both of those ports. A really quick heads up, she said, if you are a shopper in Bornholm, Denmark, she said what you do is they have a free shuttle into town. When you get into town, there's like this little mall, like a mini mall type structure thing. And she said that they have, if you are looking for clothing, and this, I thought of this when I thought of people not getting their luggage. She said that they had really affordable clothing. My niece was traveling with them. She got several dresses, and she said it is a really great place to shop for affordable things. There's a thrift store there that had some really cool things and just really fun. And so I'm just putting that out there if that helps any of you. Finally, in Visby, Sweden, she says that there is a hop-on, hop-off bus, and that is basically the way to get into town. It costs 30 euros. It's got 7 stops, but you can, she said most people were just getting off in town and then continuing the loop around to see everything, and she said that town was absolutely beautiful. So many things to see, just extraordinary, and they had a lovely day there. And so I hope that some of this is helpful for all of you and in your planning planning and in what you're thinking about in going to Europe, I would say that if you are going to go to Europe, I hope, like, do your best to fly in a couple of days early so that you have got extra time for your flights to be canceled, since so many more flights are being canceled. And if there is anything that you can do to avoid flying into Heathrow, I would do it. Our Let's Go family member told me you could even consider Manchester, England. They've got a train that goes directly from Manchester down to London once you land there, so that's another really good option. But just kind of look around and think of what else you can do and try to decide if you think that you can go with a carry-on. And I wanted to, that reminds me of one other things. I have done Europe before and a cruise with a carry-on, and it's really handy to know, I think, that like when you get to London, or anywhere really, there are lots of places that you can pick up, like, you know, contact solution, shampoo, conditioner, like all of these things that take up space in your luggage that you can just use while you're there. So kind of think about things in creative ways like that, because I know that if you're going for a few weeks, it's hard to make, you know, just a little travel size thing of shampoo last that long or other things, but it is really easy to pick up those things, and it makes it so that it's much simpler to go with a carry-on. I hope that's helpful for you all. Now, finally, I wanted to let you know what is going on with Norwegian. So the Norwegian Star was booked to take people on really a trip of a lifetime, a cruise up to Greenland, and unfortunately, that cruise departed today, July 15th, but just yesterday, passengers were notified that the weather that is between Greenland and Iceland is bad enough that they cannot go. So they just notified passengers that they wouldn't be able to do that. And so instead of going from Iceland, they're supposed to sail from Reykjavik. Instead of going from there to Greenland, they are going to go there over to Norway instead, because it is the seas are just going to be too rough to be able to make it safe for everybody to go. So here, let me tell you where they're going to call instead. They are going to arrive in Bergen on July 17th, so just a couple of days. There'll be in Olden on July 18th. July 19th, they'll be to Aalesund, and July 20th in Trondheim. Like, I love Trondheim. I've been to these places. It's not Greenland, if that's what you were hoping for, of course, but these are beautiful places, extraordinary places to visit. So it's not like you're not going to have a good cruise. And then instead of having 2 days at sea back to Iceland, the ship is going to go to Akureyri, Iceland a day early and get to have an overnight. I think that's amazing as well. There is so much to see there. I have looked at the excursions before, and having an overnight there really opens up a lot of options that you're not going to have if you were only there for a daytime. And so there is always a silver lining, and I think that's what it is. And then Norwegian did let the guests know who are scheduled on this cruise that they are going to give them a 30% future cruise credit that they can apply to another cruise, just because of what has happened to change the itinerary on the ship. And I would add that every time you book a cruise, there's always a disclaimer that some of the ports might have to change without warning because of what's going on. And so I'm really sorry if any of you were booked on that. We would love to hear from you about how it goes and what you think about it. But I think that going to Norway, while it's not the same as going to Greenland, at least it's wonderful. So if any of you have questions about any of this, please do let me know. I look forward to hearing from all of you. If you haven't subscribed yet, would you please subscribe to our channel? And if you appreciate these updates, would you please give this video a thumbs up? I will be talking to you all again really soon. You all take really good care. God bless you. Love you. Bye-bye.